Hello guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful piece. It's called a crochet romper. I posted a picture a while back and you guys asked for it, so here we are. You know I'll always deliver. Alright, so this is a step-by-step detailed tutorial, so I can call it beginner friendly. Alright, so this is how the back looks. So you can see the details actually showing up for it. I used the V-stitch on this one. Can't you see how beautiful this looks? Alright, so before we go into today's tutorial, I want to ask, have you subscribed to my channel yet? Because I can assure you that you are missing a whole lot. Alright, and I want to use this opportunity too to say thank you to each and every one of my subscribers and my supporters. From day one, you guys have been so good to me. Thank you. I want to let you know that I do not take your support for granted, and I'm here to say thank you. Alright, so without any further ado, let us get into today's tutorial. Okay, so for this project, these are the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need your yarn, of course. I'm going to be using two colors for this one. So I'm using the light peach color and the wine color. And then you're going to need your scissors, of course. You're going to need the tapestry needle. You're going to need your measurement tape, very important. Then you're going to need some stitch markers. And on this one, I'm going to be working with a 4.5mm hook size. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so the measurement you're going to need for this one is a little bit tricky. All right, so we are going to be working 3 panels on this project. Okay, so like I said, the measurement is very tricky, so I've gone ahead to do the first one. Let me take it up a bit. I've gone ahead to do one of the panels, one of the bottom panels, just to explain to you what I mean when I say the measurement is a little bit tricky. All right, so we are going to be starting working from these parts and then we'll continue to these parts. All right, so when we start here, we keep increasing as we go. All right, so for the measurement, you are going to take your hips measurements and divide it into 2 places. Okay, so when you get your hips measurement, like I'm going to be working with my own hips measurements now. All right, my hip is a 44. Okay, so I divide 44 into 2 places and I got 22. All right, so for this first panel now, I'm supposed to be making 22 inches. All right, so when you get your first half, which is, I'm going to be using my own measurement, so make sure you use your own when you get yours. All right, so with the 22 inches now, I had to minus 5 inches from it. All right, so when you get your half measurement, minus 5 from it, which is going to be the beginning parts, because as you go, you are going to be increasing. So as you can see now, I got exactly 22 inches now after I finished the increase right here. All right, so let us begin. Okay, so get your hips measurements, divide it into 2 places, and when you get half of it, remove 5 inches from that one before you go ahead to make a chain. Okay, so now I'm going to be making a chain of 22 minus 5, that is 17 inches. All right, please pay very close attention to this. All right, so when you make your chain, in the very middle of the chain, make sure you put a stitch marker. So I'm going ahead now, I'm going off camera now to do my own chain that is 17 inches for me, and then I'll be right back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, I now have my chain ready. So I ended up making 61 chains altogether. All right, so for the 61 chains now, like I told you, I put a stitch marker on the very middle because this is very important. Okay, so now to start on the very row 1, we are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3. And on the 4th stitch, we are going to be putting in a double crochet. So count 1, 2, 3, 4. On the very 4th stitch now, we are going to go in there with a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Just like that. All right. So now you are going to chain up 2. 1, 2, and then you are going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and on the third stitch you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet on that same stitch, and then you are going to chain up 2, and then you are going to skip 2 stitches, and on the third stitch again you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet on that stitch, and then chain 2 again, skip 2 stitches, and on the third you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet on same stitch. So this is what you are going to continue until you get to the middle here. When I get to the middle here, I'll come back to show you why we have this stitch marker here. All right. Okay, so I've gotten to the middle now where we have the stitch marker. All right, so now we are going to be doing our first increase on this row 1. All right, so I'm going to remove my stitch marker from here now. All right, so now you are going to chain up 2. All right, and then skip 2 stitches, and where the stitch marker was, you're going to be going in there with 2 double crochet, 1, 2 on that same stitch, and then you are going to chain up 2, 1, 2, and on that same stitch you are going to go in there again with 2 double crochet on same stitch, just like that. All right, so now you just continue doing what you've been doing from the beginning. All right, chain up 2, and then skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and on the third you go in with just 2 double crochet on that stitch, 1 and 2, then chain 2 again, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and on the third you are just going to be going in there with 2 double crochet on same stitch. So this is what you are going to continue until the end of this row. All right, and when I get to the end here, I'll come back to show you what we are going to be doing on row 2. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of the row 1, and this is how it's looking. All right, so now to begin on the row 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. All right, so now you are going to be skipping this V, okay, and then on this space now, please just watch what I'm doing. You are going to be going there with 2 double crochet to create a V. All right, so you know in this row 1 we've been doing chain 2 before we go to the next V, but this time around we are going to be doing just chain 1. Okay, so chain 1 and skip this V, and on the next space you are just going to go in there with 2 double crochet to create a V. All right, so now chain up 1 and skip this V and go to the next space and create a V. You know what a V is now. Just put 2 double crochet on that space. All right, chain up 1 and continue doing this until you get to the middle. Okay, so when I get to the middle here, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing here to do our second increase. All right, okay, so I'm at the middle again. I just want to show you how we do the increase here. So now you are going to chain up 1, and on this middle stitch here where we did the increase, you are going to go in there with a V with 2 double crochet. Okay, and then you are going to chain up 2, and on this same space now, the middle space, you are going to go in there again with another V. All right, so it's only the middle that you are allowed to actually make a chain of 2. All right, so the rest places is a chain 1, and this middle you put in 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets on that same space. All right, so now you are going to chain up 1 and then you are going to go into the next space now with a V. 1 and 2, just like we've been doing on this row. Chain up 1, skip this V, and go into the next space with a V. So this is what you continue for the row now until you get to the end here. When you get here, I'll come back to show you how we end it. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now, and this is how it's looking. So I just want to show you how I end the row 2 here. All right. So as you can see now, I've put in the last V in the last space right here. So now I'm just going to chain up 1, and I'm going to put a double crochet on the chain 3 stitch right here to end this row. All right. So do not forget, we begin with a chain 3 that happens to be the first stitch. All right, and we ended with just 1 double crochet right here. So like I said, whatever you begin with is what you end with. Okay. All right, now to begin the row 3, you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. You see, on this space now, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet, because this chain 3 now is going to be 1 double crochet. So now we have a V. Okay, and then you are going to chain up 1 and skip this V, and on the next space you are just going to go in there with a V. Chain up 1 and go into the next space with a V. Chain up 1, go into the next space with a V. So this is exactly what you are just going to be following for the row. Then when you get to this space here, you remember we begin with 2 double crochet, which is a V here. That is exactly what you will end up with here. Okay, so on this space you are going to go in here with 2 double crochet. So that is exactly what you are going to follow for the entire length. Okay, so for this one now, the first one I ended up making 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 rows. Okay, 15 rows is what I made on this one. And as you can see, I played with the colors. I made 3 of the wine, 3 of the peaches, 3 of the wine, 3 of the peaches, and 3 of the wine. All right, so I ended up making 15 rows. All right, so you go ahead now to make your own 15 rows. And as you can see, I already have my one panel ready. So I'm going ahead now to finish the second panel to show you what we're going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done with my 2 panels, and this is how it's looking. And like I told you, for this size I ended up putting in 15 rows for each of the panel. So this is the parts that will make the bottom parts of the romper. All right, so now the next step is going to be making the top area, which is the 3rd panel. All right, so it's going to be exactly the same thing what we did here. The beginning is going to be the same rows and everything, but the only difference for that one, we are not going to be stopping at 15. We are going to be making it longer. All right, so for this size I'm going to be putting in 23 rows. All right, the bottom gets 15 rows and the top gets 23 rows, exactly how it begins, but I will put in 23 rows. So I'm going to go off camera now to do my own 23 rows, and I'll come back to tell you how we are going to join them together. All right, okay, so I'm done with the top, and like I told you, I ended up putting in 23 rows. All right, but this is for this particular measurement, so I will advise that as you go, you put it on your body or whoever it is you are making it for, and be measuring it with your body to see if you are okay with this size. Okay, so for this one now, I'm just going to be ending in row 23. Now let us start joining the pieces together. Okay, so let us get into that. Okay, so for the joining, we are going to be starting from the bottom area, which is the crotch area. That is where we are going to be doing first. All right, so I'm going to be working on the very first one. All right, so to start on that, you're just going to reattach your yarn. And as you can see with my color pattern that I've been playing with, now it's time to use the peach color because I ended both sides with the wine color. All right, so to start on this part now, you see this middle part, you count 2 spaces, and on the second space, that is where you're going to reattach your yarn. Please watch what I'm doing, okay? Let me remove this one first. So on the second space, that is where you're going to reattach your yarn, and you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. And on that same space now, you're going to go in there with a double crochet to create a V, just like that. All right, and then you're going to chain up 1, and on the next space you're just going to go in there with 2 double crochet to create the V like we've been doing. All right, now you're going to chain up 1. So you see this middle part, when we're creating, we always go in with the increase, but we're not going to be increasing here now. All right, we're just going to be going in here with a slip stitch. All right, so put in your normal 2 double crochet, which is a V stitch, and then go into this middle with a slip stitch, just like that, and then chain up 1, and then go into the next space now with a V, that is 2 double crochet, chain up 1, and go into the next space with a V. All right, so this is what you get. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now we are going to go into the row 2 for the crochet area. So now you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. All right, so like we've been doing, this space now, you're just going to go in there with a V, 2 double crochet, just like that, and then chain up 1, and then you see this space here, this chain 1 space we put here now before the slip stitch, you're going to go into that space with a V. All right, and then chain up 1, and the next space just after the slip stitch here, you're going to go in there with a V. All right, and then chain up 1, and then you're going to go to the next space now with a V. 1 and 2, and now chain up 1, and then on this chain 3 space now, on the second chain here, all right, count it 1, 2, the second chain here, that is where you are going to go in with the last double crochet. Got it. All right, so you're just going there, you just go in there with 1 double crochet to end that row. Okay, so now as you can see, we begin with just chain 3 that is serving as 1 double crochet, and then we are ending with just 1 double crochet at the end, because like I've told you before, whatever begins it, that is what ends it. Okay, so now to go into the row 3, you are going to chain up 3 and turn your work to the other side. So now on this space, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet, since our chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. Okay, and then you are going to chain up 1. All right, and on the next space, you are just going to go in there with a V. All right, chain up 1, and the next space you are going to go in there with a V. All right, chain up 1, and on the next space you are going to go in there with a V, and chain up 1, and on the very last space here you are going to go in there with a V. So as you can see, we begin with 2 right here and we end up here with 2. All right, so for the row 4, we're going to chain up 3, turn your work to the other side, and then skip the first V, and on the space here you're just going to go in there with a V. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing until for this particular one you have 5 here, and then you are going to do exactly the same thing for this second panel. So you get 5 rows here and 5 rows here. So I'm going to go off camera now to do mine, and when I come back I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done putting in the 5 rows on both the panels, and this is how it's looking. All right, so the next step now is going to be joining both sides together. All right, so to join I'm going to be using my tapestry needle, but you can go ahead to use anyone that is comfortable for you. You can do the slip stitch or single crochet, but me, I'm just going to be going with this tapestry needle. It makes it flat. All right. So like always, I leave a long tail after I finish my work so I can use it to sew. All right, so now that I have my own long tail here, all I just need to do, I'm going to go into the last stitch right here, and I'm going to drag it out, and then come back to the panel again. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? And then go into the very first stitch here as well and drag it out so you can secure this place. All right, so you are going to go into the next stitch right here, and you're going to go in through the bottom and drag it out, and go into the next stitch here through the bottom and drag it out, and go into the next stitch right here through the bottom and drag it out. All right, so this is what you keep doing. All right, and make sure as you are doing it you are following the stitches as you go, because we want the sewing to be uniform. Okay, so you go ahead now to sew your own clothes, and when I'm done I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done with the sewing. So as you can see how neat it looks, and it looks flat as well. And with this method, you do not have to pick one part to be the front or the other part to be the back, because both the front and the back is looking so beautiful and neat. All right. So the next step now is going to be joining the top area to the bottom. All right. So to start on that now, you are going to be counting the V stitches on this part, and you're going to count the V stitches on this part, and you are going to put a stitch marker to know where you are supposed to join it. Okay, so now, and don't forget we're going to be joining it to the front, just the front. Okay, all right, so now let's count. Let's start the counting from the middle. So from this middle now we have space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now we are going to be putting in the stitch marker on this V stitch right here after the 10th space. All right, so we know this is where we are joining, and then we are going to count exactly the same thing on this side as well. So you see how easy it is to actually do the counting, because they are clusters, so it's easier to trace the clusters when you count. Okay, so I'm just going to put one more stitch marker here, on the middle parts, so we know what we're doing. All right, so this is where we are going to be starting the joining, and this is where we are going to be ending the joining. All right, so let us get into that now. Okay, to start on joining the top panel to the bottom, you are just going to be reattaching your yarn on the very stitch where we have the stitch marker. Okay, so you are going to go into that stitch, and you are going to go into the next stitch right here, which is the second panel All right, you're going to reattach your yarn there and then pass it through both of the stitches, and you're going to chain up one. All right, to connect it together. So now you are going to yarn over, and on this space now, the very next space, you are going to go in there with a V. That's 2 double crochets, just like that. All right, so now you are going to go into the next space on the other panel. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? You are going to go into the space right here. Let me remove this one. Okay, so you're going to pull out the loop from here. All right, you're going to pull out the loop from this other panel, and then you are going to chain up one, just like that, and then yarn over, come back to this other space right here on this panel, and then you're going to do 2 double crochet on that space there to create a V, and then leave that loop again, go into the next space on the other panel, pull out the loop, and then chain up one, and then you are going to come back to the next panel here again, and then you are going to put in a V on this next space. So keep doing this until you get to the middle. Okay, so I'm at the middle now. I'm just going to remove the stitch marker from the middle here. So now you are going to yarn over, and now you see this middle space right here. You are going to be going in there with 2 double crochet to create the V. All right, and the middle stitch on the other panel right here, you are just going to go in there just like this and pull out the loop just like we've been doing anyways, and then you are going to be chaining up one. All right, and then you yarn over. So you know we've been putting in 2 on this middle space. You're not going to be putting in 2 there. You're just going to be going into the next space now, and you're going to put in a V on that next space right there. There is no increase on this row. All right, so you are going to go into the next space right here now, and then you are going to pull out the loop, chain up one, and on the next space you're just going to go in there with a V. All right, then go into the next space. So just continue doing that, what we've been doing from the beginning to join. Okay, keep doing that until you get to the end. Okay, until you get to the end of the join here, and I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm done with the joining, and this is how it's looking. You see how it blended with the top panel. All right, so the next step now is going to be joining these 2 parts together on the bottom, but this is actually optional. The joining is optional. Okay, so if you like, you can just decide to use a lace up. The first one I did is a lace. I used the lace to show a little bit of skin on this part right here. All right, I just did a very long chain and I did the lacing up, and then I tied it to the leg parts. That is what I did on the first one. But for this one, I'm going with the joining method. I'm going to be sewing these parts closed. All right, so let us get into that. Okay, for this joining, I'm going to be using the sewing method. So I'm using my tapestry needle to do the sewing together. So that is how I'm joining, but you can go ahead to use a slip stitch or a single crochet, whichever you feel comfortable using. All right, but me, I'm going with this method. And as you can see, you know, I played with 2 colors. So when I join, I'll be using the exact yarn color that it is on the parts that I'm joining. All right, so when I start joining now with the wine yarn color, when I get to this part, I'll have to switch to the peach yarn color because I want it very neat. All right, that's why I do that, but you do not have to do that with me. Okay, it's a lot of work trying to do that, but that is how I like to do my things. I like it coming out very neat. All right, so in order to start that, you are going to get a yarn strand from the one you've been using. All right, and just put it into your tapestry needle just like this. All right, So to start on this, you're going to be going into the very last stitch here, and then you go to the last stitch on this other panel. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? And then you're going to drag it out to secure that one. All right. So the next step now, you're going to be going to the next stitch on here and drag it out. Then you go to the other panel here and go into this next stitch right here and drag it out. And then you skip the space and go into the next stitch right here, just like this, and go into the next stitch on the other panel and do the same thing, just like that, and come back to this stitch here. Excuse me. Come back to the stitch here and drag it out and go into the very last stitch right here and drag it out. So this is how you are going to be joining. All right, don't worry about this part. I'm going to tie these two together now to secure this area. All right, so as you can see, you see how it blended together. So now I'm going to be switching to the peach color like I told you. So this is just exactly how you are going to be doing your joining. That is if you are following this particular method. All right, so go ahead now to join both sides, okay? And when I'm done with mine, I'm going to come back to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next, okay? Okay, so I'm done joining both sides together, and this is how it's looking. Let me show you the other side. So this is how it came out. All right, so our romper is coming together. All right, so the next step now is going to be working on the leg area. But if you want it as a monokini, this is a perfect monokini. You don't have to add anything to the leg area, but I want it a little bit longer. That is why I'm going to be adding just 3 rows maybe to the leg area, just to make it a little bit longer. So now to start on the leg area, we are going to be reattaching our yarn just right here after the sewing. So I'm going with the peach color that I used here. So you see the space just after the sewing, that is where you reattach your yarn, and you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And on that same space now you are going to be going in with 1 double crochet. So this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. So now we have a V here. So you are going to chain up 1, and on the next space just close to it, you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet to create the V. Chain up 1, and on the next space you are going to go in there with a V. That's 2 double crochet on that same space, and you are going to chain up 1 again. And now on this very last space here now, you are going to go in with just 1 double crochet. And on the very next space here where we started the crotch area, you are going to go in there with 1 double crochet. All right, so this 2 now is going to be standing as our V here. All right, so now chain up 1 and now go into the next space with 2 double crochet like we've been doing. So you continue doing that now. Keep putting in your 2 double crochets, creating your V all around, and I'll meet you back here to show you how we are going to start on our row 2. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now, so I just want to show you how I end it here. So after putting in the last 2 double crochet on this last space now, you're going to chain up 1 and put a slip stitch on the very 3rd chain stitch, which you started from here, to end the row. All right, so that's row 1. All right, now you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. So now on this space right here, you are going to be going in there with just one double crochet. So plus the chain 3 is going to be a V. Okay, and now you are going to chain up 1, and on the next space you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet to create the V. Chain up 1 again, and on the next space you are just going to go in there with a V, then chain up 1 again. You are going to go into the next space now with a V. So you remember the construction we made here by putting one inside here and one inside here. That happens to be our V. So you are going to chain up 1, and then you are going to go into the next space right here now, and you are going to put a V on that space. And then chain up 1 again, and on the next space you're just going to go in there with a V. So this is exactly what you are going to be doing all around, okay, until you get to the length that you want. Like me, I'm going to be putting in 3 rows all around. Okay, I'm going to be making 3 rows on this leg, and I'll do that on the other leg as well. So it depends on how long or how short you want yours. You can go ahead to put how many rows that you prefer. All right, so I'm just going to go off camera now to put in my rows, and when I'm done, I'll come back to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done adding the rows I needed for mine. I ended up putting in 4 rows altogether. All right, you know, I told you I was going to do 3. I finished the 3, and I wanted the wine color to be my base color, so I had to put just 1 wine. That's why it made it 4 rows. But like I said, you can go ahead and add more rows to your own if you want it longer or not. All right, so for me, this is where I'm going to be stopping. Okay, so the next step now is going to be doing a single crochet on this top area. All right, so let us get into that. Okay, for this part, I'm going to be using an elastic because I want it to sit on my waist. All right, don't forget, on this area, we use the hips measurement to actually make our chains. Okay, so by the time you force it past your hips now, it will be too loose on your waist area. So on this one, I'm going to just be putting the elastic at the very back, but it's optional. You do not have to go with this one if you do not want to. But the last one I made, I used an elastic. That is why it relaxes on the waist. All right, so to do that, you know, we are going to be putting the elastic on just this back part. So what I did now, I put the elastic on this, please just watch what I'm doing, on this very last stitch here, and I tied it. So as you can see, the tying now is at the back. All right, so what I'll do now is I'm going to do a single crochet all across the elastic band. Okay, so you reattach your yarn now on this very stitch where you did the tying of the elastic. That's where you reattach your yarn, and then you're going to chain 1 on top of it. Please just watch what I'm doing. Okay, so now we are going to be working a single crochet on top of this elastic. Okay, so now on that same stitch, you are going to be going in there with a single crochet. Make sure that the elastic is at the back. Okay, and then on the next stitch, you are going to go in with a single crochet. You remember when we started making the chains to begin it, we did a chain 2 before going to the next stitch. So now on this space, you are going to be going in there with 2 single crochet on that same space. And then on the next stitch where you have the V, you are going to go in there with a single crochet. Make sure you are working over the elastic band. Okay, so on the next space now, you're going to go in there with 2 single crochet. So this is what you're going to do for the end. This is what you're going to be doing for the entire row. All right, then when we get here, I'll come back to show you how we are going to end it right here. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row now. So this is how it's looking. You see how neat it looks. All right, so I just want to show you how I end it here. All right, so now I've put in the last single crochet on this row here, on this stitch here. So what I did with the elastic on that side, that is what I want to show you here. That is exactly how we are going to be ending it. So I just put the elastic into the tapestry needle just like this. All right, and then I passed it through the very last stitch here. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? I passed it through the very last stitch right here, just like that, and then I tied it. I'm just going to create a space here so I can tie it here. All right, so make sure you tie it very tight at the very end here, so it doesn't come out. Okay, and then you cut off the excesses. Let me make sure it's tight. There is no room for mistake. All right, so you cut off the excesses right here. And now we are going to be sewing it. We are going to be doing a single crochet just across the tie there so it doesn't show on top of it to close that part. And then you do a chain one and then cut it off and tie, and make sure you adjust this part so it doesn't show. Okay, I'm going to do the adjustment very soon. So here we go. Let me cut the excesses from this part as well. All right, so this is how the back is looking now. All right, so the next step now is going to be making the strand from the neck. All right, so we are going to be doing a single crochet across the neck right now, and then we start on our strands. All right, so let's get into that. Okay, so to start on the single crochet on the neck area, you are just going to reattach your yarn here on the very last stitch here, okay, and then you are going to chain up one, and on that same stitch there, now you are just going to go in there with a single crochet. All right, and then on the space now you are going to go in there with 2 single crochet inside that space, and then you are going to skip the stitch that has the V, and then you are going to be going in the next space with 2 single crochet. So this is the difference between the top single crochet and the one we did at the bottom. Okay, this single crochet, you are going to be going into the space, avoiding all the places that has the V. So the only place that you put a single crochet on this V part is going to be the very first one where you started from, and then you're going to be putting one in this middle here. Make sure you're putting it inside this middle stitch here, 1 single crochet, and then you are going to put one at the very end here where the V stitches are. Okay, so those are the only place you put, but for the rest spaces you are just going to be skipping the places that has the V and just going in with 2 single crochets on the spaces. Okay, so I'm done putting in my single crochet on top of the neck, and this is how it's looking. All right, so the next step now is going to be creating the strands that is going to go to the back. All right, so to do that, I'm going to be putting 4 strands of my yarn together because they are tiny. All right, so I'm just going to reattach my yarn now on this very first stitch here. All right, please just watch this carefully. You see, you know we did a single crochet on top of here, so you're not going into the single crochet first. You're going to go into the stitch where this V stitch was when we're creating the body. Okay, that is where you're going to reattach your yarn. You're going to pull it out there. So now you are going to be going into the single crochet on top right here. You pass there with your hook and then yarn over and make a slip stitch just to secure it very tightly. All right, so now you can start creating your chains. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you go ahead to create your own chains, and when I'm done, I'll come back to show you how many chains I made all together and what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done making the chains, and I ended up making this side I made 200 chains, and on this side I made 200 chains. All right, so what we're going to do now is just lace it up. It's very easy to lace up. So you just need to do is just pass it, this one coming to this side and this one going to the other side. So just pick the very last space here and just put it through just like this. And you are going to do exactly the same thing on the other side right here. Just pass it through the space here. Okay, ta-da. So that is how you chain it up. Then you are going to tie it right here. On the table you are not really going to see the beauty, but yeah, it's so cute. All right, so this is how it's looking at the back, and let me show you the front, and this is how it will be looking in front. All right, so cute. All right, on this note, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I do hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did making it. All right, so if you do, make sure to like this video and share it to your friends and family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. I need the engagement on this video so it will get to the right people that really wants to make a romper for themselves or for their loved ones. Okay, so if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on the comment section and I will be happy to help. All right, and if you've not subscribed to my channel before now, please do so now. Okay, because you don't want to be missing out on all those beautiful tutorials that I post. All right, so until next time, bye bye.